Have you ever wondered what could possibly make an alien shudder in fear and fascination? Well, Narth, a Troyan with 3 quivering eye stalks, just witnessed something that left him both horrified and mesmerized. "Did you see that?" Narth whispered, his voice shaky as his 3 eye stalks trembled. His gaze was locked onto a human student. She just drank some sort of pitch-black liquid, and she did it voluntarily. Next to him, his gelatinous Arcturian classmate, Clotaire, rippled with unease. "I saw it, but I can't believe it." "What do you think it is?" "Poison?" They were huddled together at the back of the lecture hall, completely ignoring the professor's monotonous droning about quantum entanglement. Their focus was entirely on their human classmate, Sarah. She was calmly taking sips from a thermos, completely unaware of the stir she was causing among her alien peers. As she savored the bitter taste of her triple-shot espresso, her only concern was staying awake during this painfully dull 8 a.m. lecture. Clotaire's voice gurgled softly. "Maybe it's some sort of performance-enhancing drug. I mean, look at her. She's actually taking notes while the rest of us are struggling to keep our sensory organs open." Narth's central eye swiveled towards his friend. "Are you saying we should try it?" His exoskeleton shuddered at the thought. "What? No," Clotaire rippled indignantly. "I'm not suicidal, you remember the orientation. What's safe for a death-worlder like her could kill us in seconds." Right on cue, Sarah let out a long yawn, stretching her arms high above her head. The flexibility of her limbs was yet another reminder to her alien classmates just how different humans were. "She's terrifying," Narth muttered. "I think this lecture might kill me before that black liquid does. How much longer do we have?" Clotaire consulted a part of her body specialized in timekeeping. "Another 47 Galactic Standard minutes." "Fantastic," Narth groaned, dripping with sarcasm. "My brain cells are committing mass suicide with every second that passes. Maybe that liquid isn't so bad after all." Just as their whispered conversation reached its peak, a sharp noise cut through the air. Their professor, a large amorphous being named Professor Gloops, had noticed them. His form rippled with irritation, his sensory clusters glaring in their direction. "If the students at the back would care to join us," the professor said, his voice oozing sarcasm, "perhaps they'd like to share their fascinating insights with the rest of the class." Both Narth and Clotaire froze, their alien physiologies doing a poor job of hiding their embarrassment. Every eye, tentacle, and sensory organ in the room turned to focus on them. Sarah, noticing the commotion, glanced back at her alien classmates. She couldn't help but smile at their startled expressions. Feeling a bit of pity for them, she raised her hand and spoke up, cutting through the awkward silence. "Professor," she said, "I have a question about quantum entanglement in faster-than-light communication. Wouldn't the observer effect interfere with the information transfer?" Professor Gloops immediately shifted his attention, his irritation melting into academic enthusiasm. "Ah, an excellent question. You see, in non-Euclidean space." As the professor dove into a detailed explanation, Narth and Clotaire exchanged relieved glances. "Did she just save us?" Narth whispered, his eye stalks twitching in confusion. "I think so," Clotaire replied, her gelatinous form rippling. "But why?" Their confusion deepened when Sarah turned in her seat and gave them a quick wink before refocusing on the professor's explanation. The human's behavior was just as mysterious as the black liquid she drank. The class eventually ended, and the students began filing out of the hall. Sarah stretched, her joints popping loudly, causing the nearby aliens to flinch. Narth and Clotaire lingered nearby, clearly wanting to talk but unsure how to approach her. With an amused smile, Sarah decided to make the first move. "Hey there, I'm Sarah. I don't think we've been properly introduced yet." Narth's eye stalks wobbled nervously. "Greetings, human Sarah. I am Narth of the Troyan Hive, and this is Clotaire of Arcturus 4. "Nice to meet you both," Sarah replied cheerfully. "Thanks for giving me an excuse to ask a question back there. I was zoning out pretty hard." Clotaire burbled in surprise. "You mean you weren't actually interested in quantum entanglement?" Sarah laughed. "Oh no, I mean it's interesting, but not at 8 a.m. I was barely awake." "But you were taking notes," Narth protested. Sarah grinned and held up her tablet, revealing doodles and a game of tic-tac-toe. "Sometimes you just have to look busy so the professor doesn't call on you." The two aliens stared at her in disbelief and growing admiration. This human was full of surprises. Cloutier hesitated, then asked, "What was that black liquid you were drinking?" Sarah's eyes lit up. "Oh, you mean my coffee? It's the only thing keeping me on my feet. Want to try some?" Both aliens recoiled in horror, causing Sarah to burst into laughter. "Relax, I'm kidding. Rule number 1 of xenobiology, never share consumables without proper medical clearance." Cloutier and Narth exchanged a glance, clearly relieved. "You're funny," Narth said, his eye stalks perking up. "We'd like to be friends if that's okay." "Of course," Sarah grinned. "It's tough being the only human around here. Study buddies would be awesome. Now, who's up for lunch? I'm starving." And so, the unlikely trio walked out of the lecture hall together, unaware that this chance meeting would soon lead to adventures that could change their lives, and possibly the entire galactic community's view of humans forever. The aliens exchanged worried glances, prompting Sarah to roll her eyes. "I'm kidding, guys. Mostly. Look, coffee's just a stimulant that helps humans stay alert. It's not like I'm shooting up gravity juice or something." "Gravity juice?" Narth's eye stalks twisted in confusion. "Yeah, you know, that stuff some Jovian athletes got busted for last year. Makes you feel like you're in 2G even in zero gravity," Sarah explained, then sighed at their blank looks. "Never mind. Earth sports references probably don't translate well." As they continued their walk, they passed a viewport overlooking the vast star field outside the station. Sarah paused, gazing out at the cosmic display with a wistful expression. "You know, sometimes I still can't believe I'm here," she mused. "A few generations ago, my species was still arguing about whether the Earth was flat. Now look at us, studying quantum physics with beings from across the galaxy." Clon tea oozed closer to the viewport, her gelatinous form reflecting the starlight. "Your species' rapid advancement is truly remarkable, and somewhat terrifying, if I'm being honest." Sarah turned to her friend with a raised eyebrow. "Terrifying? Come on, we're not that bad. I mean, sure, we've got our issues, but doesn't every species?" Narth's eye stalks drooped slightly. "It's not that, Sarah, it's just the things you casually mention sometimes, like how your species evolved on a planet with large predators that could eat you, and your response was to domesticate wolves. Or how your planet regularly experiences catastrophic weather events, and your solution is to build stronger houses." Clon added, "Oh, and let's not forget when you told us about humans hunting prey by literally chasing them until they collapsed from exhaustion," Narth shuddered. Sarah blinked, taken aback by their perspective. "Huh, I guess when you put it like that, we do sound a bit intense. But come on, every species has to deal with challenges, right? I mean, Clon, doesn't your homeworld have acid rainstorms?" Clon's form rippled in what might have been a shrug. "Yes, but we evolved to withstand them. We didn't decide to go out and dance in the rain for fun." "Okay, fair point," Sarah conceded. "But what about you, Zix? Your species literally molts its exoskeleton every few years. That's pretty metal." Narth's eye stalks twisted in confusion again. "Metal? I assure you, our exoskeletons are composed of complex organic compounds, not metal." Sarah facepalmed, a gesture that still unnerved her alien friends. "No, I mean, never mind, it's Earth slang. The point is, every species is unique and impressive in its own way." As they resumed their walk, Sarah's mind wandered to all the little things she took for granted that seemed to shock her alien friends. Like the time she mentioned pulling an all-nighter to finish a project, only for Clon to insist on taking her to the medical bay, fearing she was dying. Or when she absent-mindedly cracked her knuckles during a study session, causing Narth to fall off his chair in alarm. "You know," Sarah mused, "maybe we humans are a bit weird, but hey, that's what makes life interesting, right? Imagine how boring the galaxy would be if we were all the same." Clon burbled in agreement. "Your perspective is refreshing, Sarah. Terrifying, but refreshing." "Thanks, I think," Sarah laughed. "Now, who's up for trying that new Andromedan fusion restaurant? I hear their neutron star lamb is to die for." Narth's eye stalks went rigid. "To die for? Is this another human expression, or should we be contacting the station's safety committee?" Sarah's laughter echoed through the station's corridors, turning a few alien heads. "Oh man, you guys are priceless. Come on, I promise it's safe, mostly." As the unlikely trio made their way to the restaurant, Sarah couldn't help but feel a surge of affection for her alien friends. Sure, they might think she was some kind of crazy death worlder, but they were still here, still willing to explore the galaxy with her. Little did they know, their adventures were just beginning, and the galaxy wasn't quite prepared for what would happen when human tenacity met alien curiosity. The Andromedan Fusion restaurant turned out to be an experience none of them would soon forget, though for vastly different reasons. I still can't believe you ate that. What did you call it again? Narth's eye stalks were still quivering hours later as they sat in Sarah's dorm room, attempting to study for their upcoming xenobiology exam. Ghost pepper ice cream, Sarah replied with a grin, though her voice was still a bit hoarse. And yeah, I'll admit, that might not have been my brightest idea. But hey, how often do you get to try Andromedan interpretations of Earth cuisine? Clon, who had been uncharacteristically quiet since their meal, finally spoke up. Sarah, I've been analyzing the chemical composition of that ghost pepper substance. Do you realize it contains a compound used as a low-grade chemical weapon on some planets? Sarah blinked in surprise. Really? That explains a lot, actually. Remind me to introduce you guys to wasabi sometime. Narth's eye stalks drooped in resignation. I'm beginning to think your entire planet might be classified as a chemical weapons facility. This sent Sarah into a fit of laughter which quickly turned into a coughing fit. Ow. Okay, note to self, no laughing for at least another day. But seriously, guys, it's not that bad. Humans have been eating spicy food for thousands of years. It's like a challenge, you know? Pushing our limits. Clon oozed closer, her gelatinous form rippling with concern. But why push limits that could cause you harm? Is not the purpose of limits to keep one safe? Sarah's expression softened as she considered how to explain this part of human nature. It's complicated. I guess you could say that for humans, limits are more like guidelines. We see them as challenges to overcome, not absolute barriers. That sounds incredibly dangerous, Narth noted, his tone a mixture of awe and horror. Oh, it absolutely is, Sarah agreed cheerfully. But it's also how we've achieved pretty much everything in our history. First person to eat a ghost pepper probably regretted it immediately, but now we've got amazing cuisine that plays with heat and flavor in ways we never imagined. Clon and Zix exchanged glances, a silent communication passing between them. Clon finally voiced their shared thought. Is this why humans have advanced so quickly compared to other species? This reckless disregard for safety? Sarah leaned back in her chair, considering the question. I wouldn't call it a disregard for safety exactly. More like a willingness to take calculated risks. But yeah, I guess that's part of it. We're curious, we're stubborn, and we're really bad at accepting impossible as an answer. Narth's eye stalks perked up with interest. Could you provide an example? Perhaps something from your species' history? Sarah grinned, her eyes lighting up with enthusiasm. Oh man, where do I even start? Okay, how about this? Back in the 20th century, we decided we wanted to go to the moon. Your planet's natural satellite? Clon burbled. But why? It's just a barren rock, isn't it? Exactly, Sarah exclaimed. It was a barren rock floating in space, completely inhospitable to human life. And we looked at it and said, let's go there. And mind you, this was when our most advanced computers had less processing power than your average toaster. Narth's eye stalks twisted in confusion. But how? The technological leap required for such a journey. Sarah's grin widened. We strapped 3 guys to a giant tube filled with explosives and shot them into space. The first time we did it successfully, the lunar lander had about 20 seconds of fuel left when it touched down. Talk about cutting it close. Her alien friends stared at her in stunned silence. Oh, and here's the kicker, Sarah continued, clearly enjoying their reactions. We did all this because one of our world leaders said, hey, let's do this really hard thing, and everyone else went, yeah, okay, sounds fun. Clon's gelatinous form rippled with what might have been a shudder. Your species voluntarily underwent such a perilous endeavor? For fun? Well, there were scientific and political reasons too, Sarah admitted. But yeah, a big part of it was just to see if we could. And once we proved we could, we did it again and again, pushing a little further each time. Narth's eye stalks drooped slightly. I'm beginning to understand why humans are classified as death worlders. Your entire history seems to be a series of increasingly dangerous stunts. The aliens exchanged glances, concern flickering in their expressions, causing Sarah to roll her eyes. I'm kidding, guys, mostly, she said with a grin. Look, coffee is just a stimulant that helps humans stay alert and focused. It's not like I'm shooting up gravity juice or something. Gravity juice? Zixnar's eye stalks twisted in confusion. Yeah, that stuff some Jovian athletes got busted for using last year. Makes you feel like you're in 2G, even in zero gravity. Sarah explained with a sigh as their blank looks persisted. Never mind. Earth sports references probably don't translate well. As they continued walking, they passed by a viewport overlooking the vast starfield outside the station. Sarah paused, gazing at the cosmic display with a wistful expression. Sometimes I still can't believe I'm here, she mused. A few generations ago, my species was still arguing about whether the Earth was flat. Now, we're studying quantum physics with beings from across the galaxy. Clon oozed closer to the viewport, her gelatinous form reflecting the starlight. Your species' rapid advancement is truly remarkable, and somewhat terrifying if I'm being honest. Sarah turned to her friend, raising an eyebrow. Terrifying? Come on, we're not that bad. Sure, we've got our issues, but doesn't every species? Zixnar's eye stalks drooped slightly. It's not that, Sarah. It's the things you casually mention, like how you evolved on a planet with large predators that could eat you, and your response was to domesticate wolves. Or how your planet regularly experiences catastrophic weather events, and you just build stronger houses. Clon added, and let's not forget the time you told us how humans used to hunt prey by literally chasing them until they collapsed from exhaustion. Zixnar shuddered. Sarah blinked, taken aback by their perspective. I guess when you put it like that, we do sound intense. But come on, every species has its challenges, right? I mean, Clon doesn't your homeworld have acid rainstorms? Clon rippled, a gesture Sarah recognized as a shrug. Yes, but we evolved to withstand them. We didn't decide to dance in the rain for fun. Okay, fair point, Sarah conceded, turning to Zixnar. But what about you? Your species literally molts its exoskeleton every few years. That's pretty metal. Zixnar's eye stalks twisted in confusion. Metal? Our exoskeletons are made of complex organic compounds, not metal. Sarah paled, a gesture that still unnerved her alien friends. No, never mind, Earth slang. The point is, every species is unique and impressive in its own way. As they resumed their walk, Sarah's mind wandered to the little things she took for granted that seemed to shock her alien classmates. Like the time she mentioned pulling an all-nighter to finish a project, only for Clon to insist on taking her to the medical bay, fearing she was dying. Or when she absent-mindedly cracked her knuckles, causing Zixnar to fall off his chair in alarm. Sarah mused, maybe humans are a bit weird. But hey, that's what makes life interesting. Imagine how boring the galaxy would be if we were all the same. Clon burbled in agreement. Your perspective is refreshing, Sarah. Terrifying, but refreshing. Thanks, I think. Sarah laughed. Now, she continued with a grin, who's up for trying out that new Andromedan fusion restaurant? I hear their neutron star lamb is to die for. Zixnar's eye stalks went rigid. To die for? Is this another human expression, or should we contact the station's safety committee? Sarah's laughter echoed through the corridor, turning a few alien heads. Oh man, you guys are priceless. Come on. I promise it's safe. Mostly. As they entered the restaurant, the experience turned out to be unforgettable, though for vastly different reasons. Hours later, they sat in Sarah's dorm room, still reeling from the meal. I still can't believe you ate that. What did you call it again? Zixnar's eye stalks were still quivering. Ghost pepper ice cream? Sarah replied, though her voice was hoarse. In hindsight, maybe not my brightest idea. But hey, how often do you get to try Andromedan interpretations of Earth cuisine? Clon unusually quiet since the meal, finally spoke. Sarah, I've been analyzing the chemical composition of that ghost pepper. Do you realize it contains a compound that's used as a low-grade chemical weapon on some planets? Sarah blinked in surprise. Really? That explains a lot. Remind me to introduce you to wasabi sometime. Zixnar's eye stalks drooped. I'm beginning to think your entire planet might be classified as a chemical weapons facility. This sent Sarah into a fit of laughter, which quickly turned into a coughing fit. Ow. Okay, no laughing for at least a day. Seriously though, she added, humans have been eating spicy food for thousands of years. It's like a challenge, pushing our limits. Clon oozed closer, rippling with concern. But why push limits that could cause harm? Aren't limits meant to keep one safe? Sarah's expression softened. It's complicated. For humans, limits are more like guidelines, challenges to overcome, not barriers. Zixnar's eye stalks swiveled in awe and horror. That sounds incredibly dangerous. It is, Sarah agreed cheerfully, but it's also how we've achieved everything in our history. Their conversation shifted, touching on the recklessness of human nature, their curiosity, and their unique role in the galaxy. As the unlikely trio laughed, studied, and shared stories, they had no idea their friendship would soon face challenges that put their bond to the test. Sarah set down her stylus, feeling a mixture of exhaustion and exhilaration. She looked up to see Professor Zill's gaseous form swirling with what might have been approval. Time's up, Zill announced. Please submit your exams and exit the hall in an orderly fashion. Results will be posted within the next solar cycle. As the students filed out, Sarah found herself walking between Narth and Clon, their unlikely trio reunited. So, Sarah grinned, her voice a mix of excitement and nervous energy. How'd it go? Did anyone else get weirdly emotional about the last question, or was that just me being a sappy human? Zixnar's eye stalks perked up. Oh, you mean the one about Death Worlders in the galactic community? I found it fascinating, though I may have spent too much time discussing the potential applications of human coffee in interstellar diplomacy. Clon burbled with amusement. I focused more on biological adaptations that might arise from prolonged exposure to varied planetary conditions, though I did mention our study group as an example of successful interspecies cooperation. A warmth spread through Sarah's chest that had nothing to do with the triple-shot espresso she downed before the exam. You guys are the best, you know that? Who would have thought a human, a Troyan, and an Arcturian would end up as such good friends? As they made their way to their favorite post-exam cafe, Sarah couldn't help but feel optimistic. Sure, being a human in a vast alien galaxy had its challenges, but it also had its moments of pure, unadulterated wonder. Hey, she said as an idea struck her. What do you say we celebrate finishing the exam by doing something really human? Zixnarth's eye stalks twisted in curiosity and apprehension. Define really human. Does it involve ingesting more chemical weapons or defying the laws of physics? Sarah laughed. Nah, nothing that extreme. I was thinking, movie night. I've got some classic Earth sci-fi films. You guys would find them hilarious. Plus, it'll be fun pointing out all the things they got wrong about aliens. Clon form shimmered with excitement. That sounds most enjoyable. Perhaps we should include some films from our own cultures as well. It could be an interesting comparative study. Ooh, great idea, Sarah agreed. Zix, didn't you mention some epic Trojan space opera once? We could make a whole marathon out of it. Settling into their usual booth, at the cafe, already planning their interstellar movie night, Sarah marveled at the strange turns her life had taken. Here she was, light years from Earth, celebrating the end of a mind-bending xenobiology exam with alien friends, planning to introduce them to the joys of cheesy Earth science fiction. It wasn't always easy being a human in the vast expanse of the galaxy. There were misunderstandings, cultural faux pas, and the occasional accidental violation of obscure alien taboos. But moments like this, sharing jokes, swapping stories, and building bridges between worlds, made it all worthwhile. As Sarah sipped her coffee, specially prepared to be safe for human consumption, and listened to Zix and Clon debate the merits of various alien cinematic traditions, she felt a sense of belonging. The galaxy was vast and often bewildering, but with friends like these, it was starting to feel like home. Little did Sarah know, their impromptu movie night would spark a series of events that could reshape the very fabric of galactic society. But that, as they say, is a story for another time. For now, in this small corner of the universe, three unlikely friends raised their assorted beverages in a toast to surviving exams, cross-cultural understanding, and the strange, wonderful adventure of life among the stars. And as their laughter echoed through the cafe, turning a few alien heads, Sarah couldn't help but think that maybe, just maybe, humanity's place in the galaxy was exactly where it needed to be, pushing boundaries, asking questions, and bringing a little bit of death-world chaos to the cosmic order. After all, what was the point of a vast, infinite universe if you couldn't shake things up a bit? With that thought, Sarah launched into an enthusiastic explanation of the plot of Independence Day. Much to the bewilderment and amusement of her alien friends, it was going to be an interesting night, to say the least. And somewhere out there, in the great cosmic tapestry, the universe looked on with what might have been a smile, for in the unlikely friendship of a human, a Troyan, and an Arcturian, it saw the potential for something truly remarkable. The adventure was just beginning. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the story, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel for more cosmic adventures and intergalactic fun. See you next time.